Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoterica. I got a fun video for you guys today because I actually sent Video Game Esoterica's West Coast correspondent Chris Melinda out to the Portland Video Game Expo to get me some footage of the ModRetro M64 in action. And by that I mean one of my commenters who I really like was there and got me some footage and photos of the hardware running so we can talk about all of the new specs, all of the details revealed, and everything else about the ModRetro M64. Because if you know me and you know the channel, FPGA gaming is something I love to talk about, and because we now have not one but two competitors to MiSTer FPGA on the market, even if the ModRetro is using the MiSTer FPGA core in part, it is absolutely an awesome time to be able to see this innovation coming not just to N64, but to FPGA gaming in general. Before you get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, I got a Patreon link down below as well, but here is the footage of it being demoed.
This is just a placeholder. You'll get an actual shell.
We just wanted to show off the PCB,
Yeah.
and then we're going to keep the actual full shell like a bit of a surprise. But you can see the form factor there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and this is linked with the original pictures.
Yeah, that's great.
So I work on the
It's
software
like a
side.
FPGA games by color, right? Yeah.
Oh, what on the software do you do?
Oh, I'm head of publishing.
Really? So for all the original titles and stuff like that?
But all the games that we publish.
That's amazing. So yeah,
So big thanks to Chris Melinda for going out and doing that, and the link to his YouTube channel is down below, so definitely go over there and bombard him with some subs as a thank you from me, from my viewers. And it's not at all surprising that it was Mario Kart 64 that was demoed at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo from M64, and that is because it was one of the first retail games that Robert or FPGAZumSpass ever had running on the MiSTer FPGA core. So it kind of seems like he's just kind of going through the exact same work process he did back in the day, because trust me, even seeing this when it first started working, black boxes racing around cores at a very low speed with a ton of graphical corruption absolutely blew all of our minds, you who were watching the videos and everyone else covering FPGA news. It was just really fun to see this unfold in real time, so I'm sure Robert basically ran Mario Kart 64 as the first demo publicly of the ModRetro M64, just as a little bit of a nod of where the core came from. And don't worry, I'm going to have some close-up photos of the hardware in just a moment as well. But honestly, Robert did an amazing job when it came to the Nintendo 64 core on MiSTer FPGA, but there are still a few hanging threads left in there down to memory bandwidth latency. There's a few games that will exhibit the most minor of glitches just because of the fact that the memory is actually fighting with the internal scaler and all of the other underlying OS bits. That is why something like this is going to alleviate all of those problems. Like I said in a previous video, we knew this was Robert's core before he actually announced it based upon that frame counter in the top left hand corner. That's been something he has used for all of his different MiSTer FPGA cores, so you can get a look at the real-time frame counts and see if they're actually persisting to what real N64 hardware would do, and they're definitely doing exactly that. And if you are out in Portland and you do want to see this thing, it's obviously on the floor today, and it will be on the floor tomorrow as well, so you still have about, as of me recording this, 36 hours to actually check it out, but of course the thing does close at night. And Analogue did send an email out yesterday as well saying that they're still targeting Q4, so before you ask me in the comments what's going on with the Analogue 3D, they didn't really communicate anything other than the fact they still plan on shipping at Q4, so that's at least on the calendar. If we're talking about yearly quarters, not fiscal quarters, would be December 31st at the latest. We'll have to wait and see what updates come from there, but it's one of those things. It's going to be really fun to put the M64 up against the Analogue 3D, up against MiSTer FPGA, even though on the MiSTer side of things versus M64, you're kind of competing the exact same code with some enhancements, so I'm sure it would be a really close race because it's basically going to be near identical to the same thing. But again, we'll have to wait and see what Analogue does moving forward, because it seems like they've been caught a little bit on the back foot as far as actually having competition in this space is concerned. I don't think anyone expected ModRetro to introduce an M64, and honestly it's one of those things. Analogue now is probably just a little bit confused as to what they should do moving forward, because now there is competition in the scene. But let's take a look at some of the up-close photos of the PCB so I can go over the hardware. And just so you know, Robert did confirm on the MiSTer FPGA Discord that this is going to output 4K 60. So that's something ModRetro hasn't said it exactly in the press releases, but Robert said it, so I'm pretty sure we can take that as the gospel at this point in time. And I do like the fact that they showed off the entire printed circuit board with all of the hardware on there. This was visible, so it wasn't something in a case. You kind of had to guess at what it looked like. And apparently this thing is either very close to production or going into production soon. But you'll see here all of the different silicon on the actual PCB and the overall footprint of it as well. And like I said, the big thing about the ModRetro M64, outside of the fact that it's going to have more logic space to be able to run N64, is it's also going to be open, which means that you can load up other cores in the future. Now that's not a guarantee that you're going to see every single MiSTer FPGA core come over to something like it. It just means this isn't going to be locked down and only ever be an N64 unless no one decides to ever do anything with it. And you'll see that Xilinx Arctic FPGA chip right in the middle, and down below that looks just like a wireless Bluetooth receiver because you have the antenna on the front. But as far as the board design is concerned, it's exactly what you need it to be. It's got a big beefy FPGA on the front, and then it has all of the hookups off the back. And again, this is still a prototype, so it is subject to change on kind of the footprint, but I would assume if it's still moving at this point in time that it is pretty close to being that final production model you may see soon. And again, just to go over the fact, this is going to be open. Robert confirmed that along with ModRetro on an actual news story on Time Extension, so you can actually load up other cores of this thing when it is out. Now I want you to be clear about something. This is not a drag and drop situation. You can't just take something like the PlayStation 1 FPGA core from MiSTer FPGA, pop it on something like a ModRetro M64 and expect it to work. But honestly, it's going to be nice having another FPGA board out there with a larger actual FPGA chip with more logic elements and better memory than we have here on the MiSTer FPGA. Now again, this is something that Robert can also backport the code to MiSTer. He is allowed to do that as he specified for this project. So if the DE25 Nano ends up becoming a thing, if that becomes a MiSTer 2 or a MiSTer Pro, you may see all of these improvements that ModRetro is having from Robert in his code come over to MiSTer again. And I always say I really like that open source ethos. This code should be shared. It should be available for anyone who wants to have fun with it. And I'm glad Robert feels the same and was able to make that arrangement with ModRetro. I have no idea if the DE25 is going to actually be the MiSTer 2 or MiSTer Pro. We'll just have to wait and see. And as I specified in the previous video, someone asked, you know, this would be great if it actually had frame boost options, and we already have that on the MiSTer FPGA core. In the last video that seemed to confuse some people, but there is a turbo overclock core that will run certain games that have unlocked frame rates at a much higher speed, and I'm sure that will be something we see in the ModRetro M64 as well. But honestly, it's just great to get an example of this hardware working because, again, we have a lot of different irons in the fire when it comes to FPGA gaming, but people want to see demos, they want to see silicon, they want to see PCBs, they want to be able to hold a controller in their hand and actually interact with something at a show like this. And that's exactly what ModRetro did. They brought this hardware out, they had 4 controllers hooked up, they are going under the PCB, so clearly there aren't controller ports there yet, they're probably just hardwire soldered into wherever those pads would be for the controllers, but you could sit down and you can actually play Mario Kart 64, and that really to me isn't that surprising actually, because we've already had this core, the actual technology and code to make it run an FPGA. We've been playing around with that for like the last 2 years now, so all that you'll have to do is just basically improve upon that and put it in an entire case on a new PCB and ship it. So I'm assuming ModRetro is probably going to be pretty close to done with this thing soon. That's just my guess. It's not a confirmation, but considering they said don't open till Christmas in one of their demo videos, I think they're probably targeting shipping this thing so you can have it under the Christmas tree and reenact your own kid opening up the N64 meme video. But this is where it started. This was Mario 64 running on one of the first cores out there, and even though everything was corrupted, everything was slow, seeing this actually work on FPGA was one of the most fun times I've had talking about MiSTer FPGA as a project, because Robert is a very open developer. He was on Discord chatting with people, having them test and talking about the process, so it really felt like a party with some of your favorite online friends all talking about the same thing all at once. And at the end of the party, you weren't hungover the next day, you ended up with an N64 FPGA core that can play every single retail game across PAL, Japan, and North American libraries, as well as a metric crap ton of the actual ROM hacks and fan games out there. so I'm expecting nothing less from the ModRetro M64, but I promised you guys I would do my best to get some footage and photos of it in action, so big thanks again to Chris for popping out to Portland and taking a look at it for me. And again, in all honesty, he was just there and was offering to do this, so I really did appreciate it, because you know I don't like using footage on the channel that I don't either get myself or have express permission to do. I don't copy anybody else's YouTube videos to show you guys stuff, so his link's in the description below, go check it out. But that is the news as much as I know, and when this changes, when there's new details, I'll definitely update you. But it's a special Saturday video, and I'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed the video. Bye-bye.